The lunch rush was in full swing at Joe's Diner, a cozy little place where locals gathered daily. But something wasn't right today. In the back corner, an older gentleman sat by himself, quietly enjoying his meal. He wore a faded leather jacket and had silver hair that showed his age. 3 young people stood nearby, watching him with mean smiles on their faces. Without any warning, one of them grabbed his coffee cup and started laughing. The old man just sighed, like this had happened before. A server named Sarah was watching from across the room. Her hands turned into fists. She couldn't take it anymore. Sarah had been working at this place for more than a year. She knew all the regular customers by name. The older man, who everyone called Frank, came in every single week. He was always kind and left good tips, even though his clothes looked worn out. But today, these kids decided to pick on him. Sarah watched as Frank looked down at his plate while the teenagers kept laughing. The tallest one, wearing his baseball hat backwards, leaned closer to Frank. "What's the matter, old-timer?" "Nothing to say," he asked with a nasty grin. Another boy reached over and took some of Frank's French fries, eating them right in front of him. The girl in the group had bright purple hair and pulled out her phone. "Smile for the camera, Gramps," she said, pointing the phone at Frank's face. Sarah felt her anger rise. Other people in the diner saw what was happening, but nobody did anything. They all looked away, not wanting to get involved. Frank just sat there quietly, his hands flat on the table. His jaw was tight, showing he was upset, but he didn't fight back. He had probably dealt with worse things in his life. Sarah took a big breath and walked straight over to their table. "Stop it right now," she said in a strong, clear voice. The teenagers looked surprised. "Leave this man alone immediately." The boy with the backwards hat just laughed. "Chill out, lady. We're just messing around." But Sarah didn't move. "This isn't messing around. You're bothering one of our customers. If you don't leave right now, I'll make sure you're never allowed back here." The girl with the phone thought this was funny. "Oh yeah? What are you gonna do, call security?" Sarah stepped a little closer. "I could call my boss and get you banned forever. Or I could call your parents. I'm sure they'd love to see this video you're making." The girl's smile disappeared. She slowly lowered her phone. The boy in the hat rolled his eyes but took a step back. "Whatever. This dump isn't worth it anyway." As they started to leave, the boy grabbed Frank's coffee and dumped it all over his lap. The cold liquid soaked through his old jeans. All 3 teenagers burst out laughing as they walked toward the door. Frank sighed again and reached for some napkins. Sarah quickly ran to get a clean towel and brought it back to him. "I'm really sorry that happened," she said softly. Frank gave her a tired but grateful smile. "It's not your fault, young lady. Some folks just weren't raised right." Sarah's jaw tightened with anger. "They had no right to treat you that way. Are you hurt?" Frank shook his head. "I've been through much worse than this." He gently touched her arm. "You've got courage, standing up for an old biker like me. Not many people would have done that." Before Sarah could say anything back, she heard her name being called from the back office. "Sarah, get in here now." Her heart sank. The restaurant manager, Mr. Johnson, was standing in his doorway with his arms crossed. He looked angry. She gave Frank an apologetic look and followed her boss to his office. Mr. Johnson closed the door behind them and turned to face her. "What were you thinking out there?" Sarah was confused. "I was helping a customer who was being treated badly." Her boss shook his head. "You were being rude to other customers. Those kids' families eat here all the time. We can't lose their business over something like this." Sarah felt her chest get tight. "So you're saying I should have just let them hurt him?" Mr. Johnson rubbed his forehead like he had a headache. "I'm saying you should have let me deal with it." Sarah's hands made fists. "But you didn't deal with it. You just watched it happen." His face got red. "That's enough. Give me your apron. You're fired." Sarah couldn't believe what she was hearing. "Wait, you're actually firing me?" He nodded. "Starting right now." Sarah's heart was beating fast as she stared at him. She had worked so hard at this job. She came to work on time, helped other employees, and treated every customer well. Now she was losing her job for doing what was right. She felt embarrassed and hurt as she took off her apron and put it on his desk. Without saying another word, she turned around and walked out of the office. Back in the main dining area, Frank was still sitting at his table. He looked at her with worried eyes. "What happened?" he asked. Sarah tried to smile even though she felt like crying. "I just got fired." Frank's face got angry, but before he could say anything, Sarah nodded reassuringly. "It's okay. I'll figure out what to do next." She walked out of the diner, feeling the cool air hit her face as the door closed behind her. What Sarah didn't know was that her life was about to completely change in less than 2 hours. Sarah sat in her car, holding onto the steering wheel tightly. Her heart was still racing from what had just happened. Fired, just like that, for trying to help someone. The unfairness of it made her feel sick. She wiped away tears and tried to calm herself down. She needed to think about what to do next. Her bills were due soon, and rent was coming up fast. She couldn't afford to be without a job. Her phone made a sound. It was a text from her best friend Jessica. "Hey, want to come over later?" Sarah looked at the message for a moment before typing back, "Just got fired. Not really up for hanging out." Almost right away, Jessica replied, "What? Are you kidding me? I'm coming over right now." Sarah sighed. She was grateful for Jessica's support, but right now she just wanted to be by herself. Before she could put her phone away, someone knocked on her car window. She jumped and turned to see Frank standing outside. His weathered face looked more serious than it had inside the diner. She rolled down her window. "Are you all right, kid?" he asked. Sarah tried to smile but couldn't quite manage it. "Not really." Frank nodded like he understood exactly how she felt. "I didn't mean to get you in trouble. What you did in there meant a lot to me. Most people would have just ignored what was happening." Sarah shrugged. It was just the right thing to do. Frank looked at her carefully for a moment. Then, without saying anything, he reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small card. He handed it to her. "If you ever need help with anything, call this number," he said. Sarah looked down at the card. It was plain white with just a phone number written in black ink. No name, no business title, just numbers. She looked up at him, confused. "What is this?" Frank smiled slightly. "Think of it as a safety net." Before she could ask any more questions, he patted the side of her car and walked away. His heavy boots made echoing sounds on the pavement. Sarah watched him leave, then looked at the card again. She shook her head and tossed it onto the seat next to her. Right now, she needed to focus on finding a new job. She started driving home, her mind spinning with worry. How was she going to explain this to her landlord? What would she tell her mother, who already worried about her constantly? Maybe she could get some hours at the supermarket down the street. Her thoughts were interrupted by a loud rumbling sound. Multiple motorcycle engines were roaring somewhere nearby. She looked in her rearview mirror and her stomach dropped. A huge group of motorcycles, at least 50 or maybe more, was riding down the main street. Their headlights cut through the evening darkness, and their engines sounded like rolling thunder. And they were all heading straight toward the diner. Sarah pulled into her apartment parking lot and got out of her car, still staring in shock. She could hear the deep growling of their motorcycles even from where she stood. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was a message from Jessica. "Emily, check Facebook right now." Sarah frowned and opened the app on her phone. Her news feed was completely filled with a video. It was the video that the girl with purple hair had been recording at the diner. It showed everything: Frank sitting alone, the teenagers bullying him, Sarah stepping in to defend him, and then her manager firing her for it. The caption read, "Server defends elderly man from bullies and gets fired for doing the right thing. This is completely wrong." Sarah's heart started pounding as she read through the comments. People were furious. "This is disgusting. Who runs this restaurant? They need to be held responsible. We support Sarah. Someone needs to give her a job. Where's this place? Let's show them what happens when you mess with good people." Her hands were shaking as she scrolled through more comments. The video already had over 200,000 views in just 2 hours. The comment section was exploding with angry people. Then another notification appeared on her screen. Someone was doing a live video stream. She clicked on it and saw someone standing outside the diner with their phone camera. The person's voice was excited and shocked. "You guys are not going to believe what's happening right now. There are hundreds of motorcycle riders showing up here. This is absolutely crazy." The camera moved around and Sarah couldn't believe what she was seeing. The entire parking lot of the diner was packed with motorcycles. There had to be more than 500 bikers there, all wearing leather jackets. Some had matching patches on their backs. And standing right in front of all of them was Frank. Sarah's phone rang. It was a number she didn't recognize. She hesitated for a moment, then answered. "Hello?" A deep, calm voice spoke on the other end. "Sarah?" She swallowed hard. "Yes, this is Sarah." The voice paused for a moment, then said, "We've got your back." Her stomach flipped. "Who is this?" The man chuckled softly. The phone call ended, and Emily just stood there. Her heart was beating so fast she could barely think straight. What had just happened? Her hands were shaking as she put down her phone. She could still hear the loud sound of motorcycle engines coming through the live video on her screen. This couldn't be real. Hundreds of bikers had shown up, all because of her. Her phone started ringing again. It was Lisa. "Emily, are you watching this? This is crazy." Lisa sounded so excited she could barely get the words out. Yeah, I can see it, Emily said, walking back and forth in her small apartment. But I don't get it. Why are they all there? Lisa laughed. Are you serious? You helped one of their friends, and now they're all helping you back. Emily sat down hard on her couch. She tried to make sense of everything, the video, all the angry comments, and now all these bikers. It had all happened so quickly. A text message appeared from a number she didn't know. Come to the restaurant, it said. Should she go? Her stomach felt sick when she thought about seeing her old boss again. But she really wanted to know what was happening. She grabbed her car keys and ran out. When she got close to the restaurant, she couldn't believe what she saw. The parking lot was completely full of motorcycles. They were parked everywhere, even up and down the street. Groups of bikers stood around talking quietly. Their black leather jackets looked shiny under the streetlights. Some had their arms crossed, others were on their phones. But they all looked very serious. Emily parked her car a block away and walked toward the restaurant. Her heart felt like it might jump out of her chest. People started noticing her right away. Heads turned, conversation stopped, and then someone started clapping. Then another person joined in, and another. Before she knew it, the whole crowd was cheering, whistling, and calling out her name. Emily's face turned red. She had never had so many people pay attention to her before. She saw Gus standing near the front of the group, and he was smiling big. She walked over to him, still feeling like she was in a dream. What's going on? She asked. Gus laughed. What's going on is that you stood up for me, and now all of them are standing up for you. Before Emily could say anything back, she heard a deep, rough voice behind her. This her? She turned around and saw a huge man with a thick beard. He was wearing a leather vest covered in patches. Just looking at him was scary, but his eyes seemed kind. Gus nodded. Yep, this is Emily. The big man held out his hand. Name's Bear. I'm the president of the Iron Legacy Motorcycle Club. Emily shook his hand, still feeling overwhelmed. Nice to meet you. Bear smiled a little. You've got courage, kid. Not many people would have done what you did. Emily looked around at all the bikers. I didn't think all this would happen. Bear's face got serious. Well, your boss picked on the wrong people. Before she could ask what he meant, the restaurant door opened. Mr. Reynolds, her old manager, stepped outside. His face was white as a sheet. He looked at all the bikers, then at Emily. Bear's voice got loud. Is this the guy who fired you? Emily swallowed hard. Yes. The crowd started making angry sounds. Reynolds put his hands up. Look, I didn't mean to dash. Bear stepped forward. No, you meant exactly what you did. You fired her for protecting one of our friends. You let those teenagers be mean to an old man because their parents have money. He pointed to all the bikers. Well, guess what? We have money too. And we're making sure nobody eats here anymore. Reynolds' eyes got wide. Wait, dash. But Bear wasn't done. Hundreds of us. Thousands all across the country. You think this is bad? Wait until every biker in America hears about what you did. All the color left Reynolds' face. Please, I can fix this. Gus stepped up next to Bear. His voice was calm but firm. Then fix it. Reynolds looked scared. He turned to Emily. If I give you your job back, will you make them stop this? Emily couldn't believe it. Are you serious? Yes. You can have your job back. I'll even give you more money, Reynolds begged. Emily looked at him, then at Gus, then at all the bikers who had come there just for her. Something clicked in her mind. She didn't need this job anymore. She had something more powerful now. She lifted her chin and said, no. Reynolds looked shocked. What? Emily crossed her arms. I don't want your job. I want you to say sorry to Gus. Out loud, where everyone can hear. Reynolds looked scared, but when he saw how Bear and the others were staring at him, he knew he had to do it. He turned to Gus. I'm sorry for what happened today. It was wrong. The bikers made sounds of approval. But Emily wasn't finished. And you're going to make sure those teenagers never come in this restaurant again. Reynolds nodded quickly. Of course. Yes, absolutely. Bear smiled. Good choice. Emily felt proud as she turned to Gus. Ready to go? He smiled back. Yeah, kid. Let's get out of here. As they walked away, the bikers cheered. Emily knew her life had just changed forever. And she had no idea what amazing things were coming next. Emily stood there with all the loud motorcycles around her, feeling something she had never felt before, real power. Not the kind you get from having a fancy job or lots of money, but the kind that comes from people respecting you. She had helped Gus, and now a whole community had her back. Gus patted her shoulder. You did great, kid. Bear smiled. More than great. You made a statement. He turned to the crowd and raised his hand to get everyone quiet. All right, we've made our point. Nobody is eating at this place again. If they don't respect one of us, they don't get our business. Everyone in the crowd agreed. Several bikers took off their helmets and shook their heads at the restaurant like it was hopeless. Emily looked at Mr. Reynolds, who was still standing in the doorway looking scared and pale. His restaurant had just been banned by a community he never even knew had so much power. Hey, Emily. She turned to see Lisa running toward her with her phone still in her hand. You're officially famous. Your story is all over social media. Famous people are sharing it, and oh my God, businesses are trying to hire you in the comments. Emily blinked. What? Lisa shoved her phone in Emily's face. Sure enough, her notifications were going crazy. Messages kept coming in from restaurants, coffee shops, even some law offices offering her jobs. Someone hire this girl. We need more people like Emily in the world, one post said. Before she could react, another message popped up from a number she didn't know. Call me when you get a chance. I have a job offer that might be perfect for you. Emily wasn't sure what to do. Who is this? She said quietly. Lisa grabbed the phone. Only one way to find out. She pressed the call button and put it on speaker. After a few rings, a smooth, confident voice answered. Emily. Glad you called. Who is this? Emily asked. My name is Sam Carter. I run a security company. We protect important people, celebrities, business executives. We saw what you did today, and we could use someone like you. Someone with backbone. Someone who doesn't give up. Emily couldn't breathe. Are you offering me a job? Sam laughed. I'm offering you a whole new career. Come in for an interview. We'll talk. Emily stared at Lisa, who looked like she might explode with excitement. Gus smiled proudly. She had walked into work that morning thinking it would be just another normal day. Now she had no job, was famous, and might be about to start a completely new life. Her world would never be the same again. And for the first time in a long time, she was perfectly happy about that.